Tyson Fury was very sympathetic towards Dillian Whyte and his situation with the WBC. Fury said that the WBC ordering him against Whyte is a guaranteed loss for Whyte. So he kind of sympathizes in the sense that he can see the WBC are trying to block Dillian Whyte from getting a shot at Deontay Wilder by putting every possible thing in his way. And that is obvious to see now. And it's good that Tyson Fury at least has the objectivity to be able to speak the truth on a situation. Dillian Whyte is being blocked by the WBC and by Al Haymon from getting a fight with Deontay Wilder. In fact, Wilder himself sent private messages to Dillian Whyte telling him that he'd freeze him out for 2 years. That is not the behavior of an honorable champion. How on earth could you freeze out one of the top contenders for 2 years and prevent him from getting a title shot? What's that all about? If you've got beef with a guy, you're supposed to settle it in the ring. That's how it used to be done. But apparently now you got divas like Deontay Wilder running around talking about, I'm going to freeze you out. And his idiotic army of brain dead troll-like fans are celebrating when Deontay Wilder says he's going to freeze people out. I mean, these people are not boxing fans. See, I'm a boxing fan. There's a difference. My motivation is to want to see the best fight the best. That's all I'm about. I want to see the best fight the best. And anybody who's getting in the way of the best fighting the best, that person's going to get criticized by me. And right now, you got Al Haymon preventing the best from fighting the best at welterweight. You got Al Haymon preventing the best from fighting the best at heavyweight. I got to criticize Uncle Al. I've praised Uncle Al a lot in the past. I think he's done a lot of good for boxing. I'm not one of these people that just looks upon Al Haymon like he's the devil or something. He's not. He's done a lot of good for boxing. And there's a reason why so many fighters have stuck with Al Haymon and been so loyal to him. And it's not just ethnicity. Hell no. It's also the fact that Haymon, obviously to some degree, cares about his fighters, or at least gives them the impression that he does, to the point where they'll be loyal to him in return. So I don't want to just bash Al Haymon, but in these particular instances, in the welterweight division and in the heavyweight division, Al Haymon is doing the fans a disservice. No question about it. And Deontay Wilder, who, as they always say, is not the sharpest tool in the box, right? This guy is not bright. He's going along with the nonsense. He's going along with the foolishness, talking about he's going to freeze out one of the top contenders in the division in Dillian Whyte. And what? The WBC seems to be going along with this, which is disgusting behavior by the WBC. And then even with the WBC, look, I'm going to be objective. They've done some great things. I like the clean boxing program. It's caught a lot of people. So congratulations and praise for Mauricio Sulaiman for introducing the clean boxing program. I also like the fact, and I know this is a controversial topic at this particular point, and Eddie Hearn's not happy about this, but I do like the fact that in some instances, the WBC have mandated one of their champions to face another champion in the same division. So they've essentially made, let's say, a WBO champion mandatory for a WBC champion. That is unprecedented in boxing. It's only in recent years the WBC have started doing that. So they are kind of trailblazers and leading the way in boxing on a couple of different fronts. But at the same time, there's still a lot of nonsense that the WBC are carrying on with. Favoritism, massive favoritism towards certain fighters. They appear to make and change rules up as they go along to suit particular fighters and particular promoters. And at this point in time, it appears as though the WBC have a far too cozy relationship with Al Haymon. Far too cozy, at the expense of fighters who are not with Haymon. You know, it used to be they were very close with Don King. They still are, but King doesn't have the same power that he used to have. So now it's more Haymon. And to some extent, I mean, we've seen recently Bob Arum getting what some would say was preferential treatment from the WBC with his fighter Vasyl Lomachenko. getting a straight crack at the WBC title. So, when he's coming from a division up. So the WBC and, let's not just say Dillian Whyte, Matchroom are at odds with each other. Eddie Hearn tried to rein it in a little bit in a recent interview because there's been a lot spoken, including by me, about a beef between the WBC and Matchroom. And even Mauricio Sullivan in a Boxing Social interview came out and said that Eddie Hearn is the king of hypocrisy or whatever it was. Hearn tried to rein that in and said, look, we got a lot of respect for the WBC and they've done great things and, kind of the same stuff I've just said, right? But he's doing that because he doesn't want all hope of getting his fighters in WBC title fights in favorable fights, because let's face it, Luke Campbell versus Vasyl Lomachenko, that's not a favorable position for Matchroom to be in, because that's an almost guaranteed loss for their man. Whereas Luke Campbell versus Devin Haney, that's two Matchroom fighters. Obviously, Eddie Hearn would have preferred that. But when you got Lomachenko, yeah, that's not favorable. And of course, with Dillian Whyte's situation, I've already talked about it, trying to put Dillian Whyte in with Tyson Fury. Hang on, hasn't Dillian Whyte already earned his mandatory shot? He's been number one contender for how long? And now a guy who's been retired for most of that time, or excuse me, not retired, but out of the ring, unlicensed for most of that time that Dillian Whyte has been fighting these WBC sanctioned fights. This guy comes in and all of a sudden he gets the opportunity to be in a final eliminator against Dillian Whyte. Now, Tyson Fury, in this interview here, says that he's not interested in this final eliminator against Dillian Whyte. I don't for a second think that Tyson Fury is afraid of Dillian Whyte, even though Tyson Fury may have been dropped by Dillian Whyte in sparring all those years ago. And by the way, I do have to correct something I said in an earlier video. Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte sparred around the time, I think it was just after Tyson Fury fought Nevin Pikage. They sparred then, but they also sparred, I didn't realize this, they also sparred in 2013. And that was in the run up to the David Haye fight, okay, which never happened, obviously. And this is a picture from it here. You can see August 6, 2013. This is when they were in camp for David Haye. There's Dillian Whyte. There's Tyson Fury. So they also sparred here. Now, this claim that Dillian Whyte makes that he dropped Tyson Fury a bunch of times in sparring, I suspect it was for, it was during the time when they sparred around the Nevin Pikage fight. I suspect it was then rather than here, simply for the fact that Tyson Fury was in much better shape around this fight in the lead up to the David Haye fight and had improved a hell of a lot as a fighter since the Nevin Pikage win. So, could be wrong about that, but that's my suspicion. But I'm sure Dillian Whyte still takes a lot of confidence from the spars he had with Tyson Fury. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tyson Fury is a little spooked by the fact that Dillian Whyte allegedly dropped him a few times. Maybe he did. And Tyson Fury's never denied it, by the way. Maybe he is, but I suspect he isn't. I suspect Tyson Fury has no issue fighting Dillian Whyte, but it's just a promotional thing. It's just an ESPN thing. And as well as all that, Tyson Fury knows that he can get a straight crack at Deontay Wilder without becoming the mandatory. The mandatory is restricted to what, 25%? What on earth would Tyson Fury want to be the mandatory for? When he can just fight Deontay Wilder in a voluntary and probably get 50-50. You don't need no mandatory business. The mandatory actually restricts Tyson Fury. The only thing a mandatory would give him is, a fight without a rematch clause. That's all it would give him. But from a financial point of view, it doesn't make sense for Fury to be mandatory. And from the perspective of taking a risk against Dillian Whyte, look, I expect Tyson Fury to beat Dillian Whyte if they fight. But it's still a risk. It's still much more risky than Tom Schwartz. So in his head, he's thinking, well, there's no point in fighting a riskier fight to get the privilege of fighting Deontay Wilder. A riskier fight against Whyte to fight Whyte. I can just go straight to Wilder. I ain't got to fight this riskier fight where it's only going to qualify me to get 25% against Wilder. It makes no sense for me to do that. So as much as I would like to see Tyson Fury fight a Dillian Whyte, I can understand why he's not going to. What is in it for him? I mean, but at the same time, as much as I've said that, you do get the fact that Tyson Fury keeps talking about the fact that he's the lineal champion and he doesn't care about belts. And in that case, if you look at it from that perspective, you could say, well, if he's lineal champion, then he should be defended against all the best contenders to defend that lineal status. And Dillian Whyte is one of the best contenders. So, yeah, you can fight Dillian Whyte, but disregard the WBC making it a final eliminator, you know? You could just disregard that. You can say, okay, I'll make the fight, but the final eliminator business has got to be thrown out the window because I'm not going to be restricted to 25% against Deontay Wilder. That's not happening, you know? So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Tyson Fury's comments on the Dillian Whyte situation. Were you surprised to hear Tyson Fury sympathizing with Dillian Whyte? You know, to be honest, there's always been a mutual respect between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. Yeah, they do talk trash about each other here and there, particularly Dillian Whyte talking trash about Fury. You know, Whyte talks a lot more critically about Fury than Fury talks critically about Whyte. That has to be said. But there does appear to be a certain level of respect there. And that has to stem from the fact that they do know each other in real life. And they've been sparring with each other going back years to at least, 2011, 2012. These guys have been sparring. So there's some kind of respect there. And of course, as fighters, they're both going to believe they can beat each other, you know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about everything I talked about in this video. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.